Good evening, councillors. We'll get underway. We're just a couple of minutes late, but that's fine. Could I just ask that all mobile devices be turned off or onto silent, please? So welcome for our special meeting number 6 tonight, and welcome to those viewing on the YouTube channel. Tonight, Mr. Will Jeremy will read the following statement. Thanks, Mr. Jeremy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All council meetings are filmed with both video and audio being recorded. Video is focused on a specific area, however audio from the entire room is captured. By speaking at any time during the meeting, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. The reasoning behind recording council meetings is, of course, to hold us more accountable and to improve transparency of council's decision making to our community. The full meeting is being streamed live on council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, and will also be available on the YouTube channel shortly after this meeting.
Thank you. Item 2, out of respect, will stand for the acknowledgement of traditional owners and custodians.
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we are now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Apologies, there are 2. Mr. Charlie Bird, our Chief Executive Officer, and Councillor Peter Roper. And welcome this evening to our Manager Corporate, Emma. Welcome. Declarations by Councillor Neil. Thank you. And just for the public's information, as this is a special council meeting, there are no questions either on notice or from the floor this evening. We'll have to wait till next month. Item 5, 5.1, Director Corporate, Natalie Cook, in relation to declaration of Dinner Plain special rate. And Ms Cook, I understand you'll probably have a number of items to speak to this evening, so if at any time it's you're overwhelmed or whatever.
Will do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to declare a special rate for the Dinner Plain Village, applicable to commercial industrial land only for the period 1 July 2018 to the 30th of June 2019. The Dinner Plain Village has, for some time, been subject to a special rate to defray expenses associated with services which are of special benefit to Dinner Plain ratepayers. Within the Alpine Shire Council's budget of 2018-19, these services include the Dinner Plain to Hotham winter bus service, roadway snow clearing, cross-country snow grooming, marketing and event support specific to Dinner Plain. The declared special rate for Dinner Plain has been reduced 7% of the general rate in 2015-16 to 65% of the general rate in 16-17 and 43% of the general rate in 17-18. It is proposed that the special rate is now aligned to the differential rate for commercial industrial land in the rest of the Shire, and that it is only paid by ratepayers who earn commercial industrial land within the Dinner Plain Village, which under the rating policy includes holiday lets.
Thank you. Move in a second. Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble. Councillor Nicholas.
I wanted to just pick up with the Dinner Plain to Hotham winter bus service, which is being operated. The feedback from the Alpine community that I've heard is that it's great service. The buses look fantastic, and I can tell you that I've seen them myself. And that's within the village too, which I know isn't our business, but the Dinner Plain buses do really look special. So I think that's great. And the other thing I just wanted to ask about is, or clarify, is that the Dinner Plain special rate of 43% is in addition to general rate. So
it is, yes.
Yep, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Keeble.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Dinner Plain special rate, a long discussion over many years, and I think we've had a really good strategy to get to where we are now, with it at 43%. It's 43%, isn't it? Not 48, 43%. So, you know, we've listened to the ratepayers up there. It's on the commercial rate. It's in line with the Shire, rest of the Shire, and you know, it's a terrific outcome for everyone, I think. So, I just want to congratulate everyone for getting to that point. I know everyone would like to have the lowest rates they can have, but we have certainly accommodated Dinner Plain residents in the last several years, and the rates are now matching the rest of our Shire. I think that's terrific in regards to that.
Thank you. Further comment?
With my colleagues there on that point, I'd also like to congratulate dear Nat for a lot of the work her and her department have put in, and which is a lot of, and especially in the last 12 months.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Nicholas? No further. Can we take it to the vote, please? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 5 points, 2018-19 budget submissions.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to respond to the submissions received under Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989 relating to the Alpine Shire Council draft 2018-19 budget. A requirement of the preparation of the budget is that Council must provide an opportunity for the public to make submissions regarding any proposals contained within the draft budget. This is conducted through a formal process in accordance with Section 223 of the Act, which includes a 28-day period where the public can provide budget submissions to Council and can request to be heard by a committee of Council in support of their submission. The draft budget was released for public comment following the April meeting. Those that formally requested to be heard in support of their written submission also attended a committee of Council on Tuesday the 15th of May. All submissions received are being considered to ensure that Council is meeting the needs and expectations of our community. This report reflects the Office's recommendations to Council following a review of the cost and scope of each submission and overall deliverability of the full scope of 2018-19 work.
Councillor Keeble, Councillor Forsyth. Councillor Keeble.
The draft budget, when it comes out, is a really important document. It's probably one of the most important documents for a community to have a look at, and having the ability for community members like to have with the submissions is great, and you know, we need to keep that service happening. And it's I mean, over the years it fluctuates between how many people come along, but I thought this year was quite a few submissions. People came along, had their say. Sometimes we can change some of the budget on those discussions. Sometimes we can't, but I think the answers we've got in here and the directions are really clear, and that hopefully in the next coming weeks the people who came for all the submissions will have their response in writing. So thanks for doing that process.
Thank you. Councillor Forsyth.
Yeah, and a draft budget and an amount to be adopted. There's ins and outs and what have you. I just things that have gone into it from the draft budget and then been pulled out, like submission 1S41, which is the curb and channel renewal. We had a draft budget of 75, but we're now down to 40. Does that detract from what we should be doing or not?
Mr Jeremy, I think you could probably answer that.
I can respond to that one. That's one within my directorate. So what's happened in the case of the curb and channel is that we've had the opportunity to review the scope. From the point at which we had the draft budget established through to this document here, we now have a better understanding of that scope, and we've got a better cost estimate, a better confidence in the cost estimate around that. So the scope hasn't changed. Our estimate of the cost to deliver that scope has reduced.
Excellent. So would that be the same situation for some of these other things where, for instance, small plant and equipment maintenance gone from 80,000 down to 15?
So that was a different scenario. So that was an error that we identified in the draft budget. As we reviewed the maintenance items, we identified that we'd over budgeted for small plant and equipment maintenance. So we've corrected that through this document, through an internal submission.
Right. So I'm assuming then that the year before, the small plant historical figure, was it?
The The previous year's was a lower figure aligned to what we're putting in the budget for next year.
Okay.
It was an error that that larger figure went into the draft budget, but we picked it up when we did a review of that draft budget.
Okay, excellent. A couple of lines above that, you've got 120,000, and this is where it makes it very tricky with trying to do budgets, because you've got the October 2000 flood damage restoration. You've got to come up with these money when we get these little forces of nature that we can't do anything about. One other thing, and I think it's been quite well put here, that we get a timing issue. Victorian Grants Commission administration income. That's simply a time.
Make reference to the page, or
Make reference to the page. It
Yes.
is 521, page 10.
Thank you.
In the draft
Oh, yeah.
budget, we've got
Got it.
3.6 mil, and in
Thank
actual
you.
fact, we're only adopting 1.8. And one last one, and I think this is well under, it's the last one, submission 19, curbside guttering. Council will deliver this project in this current financial year with funding provided. We are 2 weeks to go. How's it happening?
Thank you, John. This project's well underway and will be completed by the 30th of...
Thank you, Councillor Forsyth. Any other comments?
I'd just like to acknowledge Councillor Forsyth's extreme surveillance of the budget this year. He's onto everything, and it might be a result of his semi-retirement from the pharmacy, but well done, John.
Councillor Nicholas, did you have something? No. Any further comment? Councillor Keeble, is there a right to reply? None? Okay, take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Okay, so this is, well, they're all important documents, but this is the document. Item 5.1.3, the adoption of the 2018-19 budget. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to adopt the 2018-19 budget, which incorporates the strategic resource plan and the rates and charges for the 2018-19 financial year. The 2018-19 recommended budget delivers a strong $11.4 million capital works program. This features a number of major initiatives funded for the Lower Ovens, focusing on sport, recreation, streetscapes and community Bell Sports Stadium, upgrade of the McNamara Reserve netball and tennis facilities, renewal of the Myrtleford Library, Alpine Battle Places rollout to Myrtle Street and Jubilee Park. Major initiatives for other areas include completion of the Alpine Events Park and the Mount Beauty Pool upgrade. Plans for Dinner Plain include toboggan and ski run safety improvements and trails and track signage. The budget delivers a continued commitment to keep operational costs low by working smartly on our sourcing strategies and keeping staffing requirements flat following a major staff reduction in recent years. It recommends a rate increase of 2.25%. It's a number I should get right. It recommends a rate increase of 2.25%, being lower than inflation increases in line with inflation minus an adjustment factor to ensure that we are delivering annual cost savings to our ratepayers. There is a reduction in rates for residential ratepayers in Dinner Plain, as the Dinner Plain special rate will be aligned to commercial industrial differential rate going forward, as per the earlier recommendation. Other initiatives include a trial of free green waste disposal on 2 selected weekends throughout the year at our transfer stations, the introduction of supported playgroups to support the development and wellbeing of parents and children in our Shire, continued delivery of a wide range of community facilities that make the Shire a great place to live and visit, including our libraries, swimming pools, sports centre, visitor information centres, public amenities and our transfer station, ranging from youth activities and awards to our L2P program, our seniors festival and our maternal child health services, and continued maintenance of the safety and amenity of our assets, which include our bridges, buildings, drains, footpaths, local roads, open spaces and the rail trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Cook. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Keeble.
Second it.
Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks for pointing out the areas of significance in the budget. They're terrific to hear. That's why I was enjoying listening to all the things. You know, we have the largest capital work plan, and that's no mean feat in a small shire of ourselves with the workforce that we've got. So I take my hat off to the teams, Will and everyone else that's involved in that, because there's a lot of work right across every department to get that done next year. And we recognise that, and I'm sure the ratepayers will see that benefit in the next 12 months, like they've seen the benefits in the last 2 years. Rate increases are 2.25%, and that's capped, and we've been really proud over the last many years where we've been below the average rate rise in Victoria. So we're really proud with the rate rises. The one thing I wanted to pull out, and there's lots of for your recycling bins, I should say, for the fortnightly ones and for the weekly ones. The fortnightly ones are at $89.34. It doesn't matter whether you've got a 140 litre bin, 240 litre bin, or 360 litre bin, it's the same price. And we've had that for a few years now. I'm really happy to see we've got some of those prices still here, given the current climate on recycling and what's going on out in the wider world with recycling. So for those people that don't know, or ratepayers out there, if you want a larger recycling bin, it's the same cost for you, and I recommend that you do that so you can get more recycling in, so it doesn't go into landfill.
Councillor Nicholas.
I'd like to just second everything that Tony said. I think that was it's a great budget. Looking forward to seeing it delivered. As it's only my second budget, and the things that I look for, solvency obviously, employment costs and materials and services, and I think this organisation does a really good job of keeping them at a place where we can function and deliver really well but not be excessive. So well done for not just preparing the budget but for delivering against the last one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one rolls out.
Thank you. Further comment?
Yeah, only even the year before that was reasonably big, and then to keep going the way that we will be going in this next 12 months is bloody good, fantastic. And the dinner plate rates and just so many things that have been put into action in the last 12 months. Well done again to Natalie, Will and Charlie and my colleagues as well.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Forsyth?
I'd just like to point out that in the recommendation, .1A, the residential rate, the last year, the rate in the dollar, and I think that's fantastic. And I think that if you're out there as a ratepayer, I just think that's it's going down. Your rates might go up if you own a very good property, but I think that we're getting a reduction in that rate in the dollar, and I think that's great. Well done.
Thank you. Councillor Knapstein?
I think it's all been said, but I'd like to reiterate and say thank you to the staff for explaining and plodding me through all the basics of the budget, because it's really complex and there's a lot of thought and time that goes into it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keeble?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillor Forsyth reminded me that at the end of his little conversation then, that people in our shire will know that over the last 12 months properties in our towns have increased, and the values have increased, and that also equates to your rates increasing. So why there's a 2.25% increase, look at I would say to the ratepayers, make sure you look at the final figure but also take into account the increase. Now, we love living in our shire and we'll continue to do that, but that comes also at a good price from time to time. So.
Thank you. That's it. We'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? It is carried. And I'd just like to comment that for a small rural council, we certainly punch above our weight in our delivery of service and projects, and we have no debt with monies available to us but we must always continue to be fiscally aware of our circumstances at any one time, and hence our 10-year financial plan, and we continue to monitor that going forward. And we have to use those tools, and that will be something that under the review of the Local Government Act, which I believe is being debated in Parliament as we speak, that will be one of the recommendations that councils do have a 10-year financial plan, and it's something we already do anyway. So, but once again, our congratulations to the staff for preparing this budget and keeping us on track. So if you could pass that through. So thank you. We'll move on. Item 5.1.4, the Alpine Shire Council Plan, review of 2018. Who's doing that? Natalie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An annual review of the council plan, incorporating our municipal public health and wellbeing plan, is a requirement of Health and Wellbeing Plan 2008 respectively. This report ensures that council is meeting the requirements of both those acts. Further to the report that came to the ordinary council meeting in April 2018, the review proposes that the strategic resource plan is updated to be consistent with the long-term financial plan as in the...
Very good. Councillor Forsyth. Seconder. Councillor Pearce. Councillor Forsyth.
Reading just through this, basically we're just updating our Alpine Shire Council plan with our current budget, which we have just adopted. So,
thank you. Councillor Pearce. Nothing further. No other comment. Take it to the vote. All those in favour. Carried. Nothing there. No, there being no further business, declare that the meeting is closed at
5:28.
5:28 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Mr. Unsworth. Thank you. And thank you to those on YouTube. And we'll next council meeting is
Sorry.
second.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, that's my son's birthday.
July the 2nd. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Good night.
No, 3rd.
3rd, is it?
Phew.
It is July the 3rd. Tuesday, July the 3rd.